Hey everyone, you might be wondering why I'm wearing camouflage for this video. And apart from the fact that I'd rather be out hunting than talking with you, there's another reason. I wanted to tell you how you can totally crush this Aleph bait test. I've already told you all that it's really important that you do very well on the Aleph bait test, especially at the beginning of the semester. You do not want to fall behind. But, and here's a clue into your professor, in the same way that I would wear camouflage to trick, right, the animals into thinking that I'm not there, I am also going to be very tricky and try and play with your instincts a little bit, and be very tricky on this test. And so let me just give you a bit of a heads up and a couple strategies for how to study. First, you would be very wise while you're learning this Aleph bait to look for those letters that are similar, but and to look for the letters that look similar and to learn what distinguishes them. I covered this a little bit in the lecture where I talked about some letters are easy to confuse, right? Review the lecture there. But then do it on your own. Look for those letters that look similar. Like look at the Dalet. Right. Let me actually put this in larger. There we go. Look at the Dalet and then compare it to the Resh here. Very, very similar. They're both basically two lines, right? One almost at a 90-degree angle. Definitely a 90-degree on the Dalet. But of course there are differences as well, right? The Dalet has this, the main difference is the Dalet has this little bump on the back of the horizontal dash. The Resh does not. The Resh just sort of curves around. So that's important. It's important that you can maybe look at the difference between the Nun Sofit, right? The final Nun, that is the Nun that comes at the end of the letter, and the Chaf Sofit, right? And even the Fe Sofit, right? All three of them have that elongated tail. So does the Tzadik Sofit, but it's on the left side, so it's not as confusing. But the Chaf Sofit, Fe, and Nun Sofit, they all kind of have these long tails. The Chaf Sofit and the Nun Sofit also have a head that sort of goes horizontal, but they're also quite different, right? The Chaf is longer, the Nun is shorter. What are some other ones? Think about the Yud and the Vav. Now, really the only difference between Yud and Vav is that Vav's tail here extends much further down than Yud, but you could imagine how easy it would be to confuse that. Think about Bet, and then Chaf here, or Kaf, right, with the Dagesh makes the harder sound. Those could be easily confused. They're very, very similar. Maybe the main distinguishing point is, again, this little tail at the base of the bait, not present on the Kaf. The Gimel, also potentially similar to the bait, similar to the Dalet in some ways, similar to the Vav in other ways, right? It doesn't have the little foot right here, that little portion. So you'll notice that whenever I do these comparisons, for instance, when I line up Gimel and Vav, I know instinctively what distinguishes the two. Most of you will not be, unless you've taken Hebrew in the past, most of you will not be able to do that instinctively, but you need to be able to. That when you see a letter, you will have already thought through in your mind, okay, this one looks similar to this one, but what are the differences and where are they present? So that's just a really quick study tip on how to crush this test. I promise you, I will try to deceive you all throughout the quiz. I am out to get you in this quiz, and not to get you, but not in all seriousness, but in all seriousness, I am out to create a quiz that will truly measure. It's really going to measure whether you know this Aleph bait or not. And if you don't take it seriously, studying for this Aleph bait, you will be duped. And there are multiple questions where I ask you about a letter, and then included in the multiple choice answers are those letters that look extremely similar to it. And so fair warning, that is coming. I do try to trip you up on this quiz, not because I enjoy seeing you get tripped up, but because those more difficult questions are a true measure of how well you know this Aleph bait. And so study it hard, don't get tricked, don't give in to the camouflage, and study hard, I'd say, with a partner is usually best, because that partner can also sort of put those difficult letters in front of you and help coach you to a place where you'll be able to know them instinctively. That's really the goal. All right, everyone, that's just a quick little video on how to crush this test. Look forward to interacting with you all this week. Thanks.